let me tell you guys about the time that I thought I had come the closest I had ever been to death by nearly accidentally killing myself with one of the most toxic substances on Earth. But to tell you that, let me start at the beginning. First of all, I absolutely love snakes. This is my pet chocolate rosy boa named Chocolate. Not actually chocolate, it's a real snake, and a beautiful, harmless one that we get here in Southern California all the way down to Southern Baja. I've loved these animals my entire life. When I was a little kid, I had hundreds of them. I even used to keep venomous ones in my bedroom. I had a rhombic night adder that once escaped and nearly bit my mom. It was under her bedroom pillow. She found out about it, kept me from ever keeping venomous snakes. So since then, I was about 10 years old, I've been obsessed with snakes. Well, a few years ago, there were some mysteries floating around about giant tiger sharks washing up dead on the beaches of Western Australia. I was flabbergasted. We all know that tiger sharks are big, tough, incredibly rugged animals. What could be killing them and leaving absolutely no trace? Well, I hypothesized that maybe in Western Australia, an area known for having the highest density of insanely venomous sea snakes on the planet, that just maybe these sea snakes could somehow be killing these giant sharks. But how would they do that when we know that shark skin is way too tough for a sea snake to pierce through? And how could a sea snake envenomate a tiger shark when they have tiny teeth but with super potent venom? So I wanted to investigate this. So it took us a couple years, we put together a concept, and we headed in March of 2023 to Western Australia to look into shark versus snake. Now, if you want to hear all about that, you can look into our Shark Week show as to what we did and how we went about it. But the story I want to tell you guys is about the sea snake venom. So halfway through the search, we'd found a whole bunch of beautiful tiger sharks. They seemed healthy, but what we needed was to sample sea snake venom. So any sea snake would do. Some are slightly more potent than others, but we were looking for a sea snake that potentially could envenomate a tiger shark. And we figured out that the envenomation could happen when a tiger shark came up and bit at a sea snake. In fact, I'll show you what we used right here. These were our sea snake decoys that we used to get a tiger shark to see if they would bite it. And they actually bit this exact one. Somewhere on here, there's some teeth marks, very different from this guy I have here. But we figured out that the tiger sharks do indeed eat the sea snakes. They will eat them under certain situations. So then we figured out that the way that a tiger shark could be envenomated by a sea snake is by biting it, and the sea snake biting into the soft tissue inside of the tiger shark's mouth where it could get venom. Now that we figured this out, we had to test our hypothesis. We had to do that by getting two things. We had to get sea snake venom, and we had to get tiger shark tissue, and we had to put them together. Easier said than done. What that meant was we had to catch a sea snake. Now, many people may know this, sea snakes are relatively docile unless you decide to go in the water, catch them, and mess with them and milk their venom. So here we were in Western Australia. We see this unbelievable, beautiful, elegant sea snake that looks very similar to this decoy I have right here. And in seeing this elegant sea snake, I of course have to catch it. So I scream to the boat, throw me my tongs, throw me my net, throw me my bag, and I'm working with the hook, I'm working with the tongs, I'm working with the bag, and it's terrifying. This snake is beautiful, it's long, it's like 6-7 feet long. And what's so crazy is, having caught hundreds and hundreds of snakes on land, they're sort of two-dimensional, right? They can move up and down on land, but in the water, they're three-dimensional. They can move up, down, left, right, back, and forth. So it was so scary being in this viscous liquid of the ocean, catching the snake. It was literally like trying to catch lightning in a bag, knowing how toxic this venom was. Regardless, managed to get the job done, managed to coax the snake into the bag, close the bag with a gear tie, and get it up on board. We were stoked. Everybody was celebrating. So I get the snake. It's unbelievable. It's so exciting having this big capture and capturing this snake. And it's the first time I've ever even seen an elegant sea snake. And it's a stunning, beautiful animal. And now we get on the boat. The snake is in the bucket. Everybody's chilled out and it's time to focus, right? I laser focus. Like, you have to be fully dialed in and staring at everything you're doing to make sure you don't mess up. Because one little slip, one little nick from a tooth on the side of your finger, one little drop of venom in a cut on your hand, and that's it, you're toast, right? So here we are, we're focused up, and I have to milk the snake. Now, in order to do that, and you see this in the show, I have to hold the mouth open with a tiny little tool and then take a syringe, or a pipette rather, and push the gums up on the fangs of the snake and pipette the venom out of the snake. So it's this massively delicate process. But as I'm doing it, what happens is you're all wet, right? You're in the water, you've been diving, you catch the snake, pipetting the venom. And so you see the venom, at first it kind of runs around the outside of the pipette and some goes in and we manage to collect the venom. But in doing it, venom is trickling down on the outside of the pipette and trickling down onto my fingers and everything else. And regardless, I'm focused, there's no cuts on my hand, and we get the venom. And it's like, hell yeah, we got this venom. This is so great, it's so exciting. And everybody's celebrating, everybody's feeling good. So there we are, we have this snake venom. It's been super exciting and it feels like we can finally relax. So we move the snake into the bucket for a moment and I put the venom on ice and there we are. Now keep in mind, this venom, every sea snake is different. They're all different cocktails of neuro, cyto, and chemotoxic. And regardless, the cocktail of venom that a sea snake has is made to make you die without realizing it. And what I mean by that is when a sea snake bites a fish, it holds onto it or envenomates it and then it lets go and the fish's organs just shut down without it really realizing it, beginning to digest it so that the snake can then eat it and swallow it. Now, this is the venom that we just collected, right? The snake's now in the bucket and the team and I are on the boat and it feels like the danger moment has passed. The most dangerous part was collecting this insane venom and that's happened. Now, as always happens, Mitch, my camera guy, and I start arguing, right? He goes, oh, well, it was good, but we really could use a drone shot of the snake, swimming along the surface, and, maybe if you were over there, this is exactly what Mitch sounds like. And he's gonna hate me when he sees this. And so he starts arguing with me and I'm like, no, we're done. I don't wanna stress out the animal. Like I'm exhausted. We've been chasing the snake all day, blah, blah, blah. And so we're going back and forth, we're arguing, and something that I've done my whole life, and it's so stupid. This is moments after milking the snake. I go, Mitch, you're driving me insane. And I go exactly like this. And all of a sudden it hits me. I'm like, oh my God, I think I've just killed myself. Mitch goes, what? I was like, nothing. But what I think I've just done is I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this because it's so scary. In the process of milking the sea snake and seeing that venom run down the outside of the pipette and onto my fingers, I'm thinking that I've just taken that venom and rubbed it into the ducts of my eyes. Now that would mean that the venom, and all it takes is one tiny drop to kill up to 100 men, they say. This venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's venom. All it takes is one tiny drop to kill up to 100 men. Let me reemphasize that. And I think that I've taken this micro fraction of a drop of venom and rubbed it into my tear ducts, which would have it entering into my bloodstream and killing me. Now, keep in mind, we're out on a boat. We're 2 hours from a town of 90 people or something like that in Western Australia that is then 3 hours from a hospital. You know what I mean? We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell phone service. There's no communications. There's nothing. So I say to myself, I think I've just killed myself. And Mitch goes, what? And I go, oh, no, nothing. Because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know what to panic. And he's like, all right, well, can we get the shot? I was like in a state of shock at this point. So put the snake in, snake swims away. Everybody's stoked, everybody's happy, and we're like, let's head in for the day. It's totally the end of the day. Now, what I know about the sea snake venom is, sea snake venom, as I explained, it's this crazy cocktail of neuro, cyto, blah, 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 toxic. These guys are particularly neurotoxic. And what's gonna happen is, over the next few hours, I'm gonna start to feel lethargic. I might get a little bit of a headache, and then all of a sudden, my lungs are gonna shut down, my heart's gonna shut down, and I'm going to drop dead. If I've envenomated myself, this is what is going to happen. Hey, buddy.
Daddy,
hey, dude.
Chocolate.
Interrupting me during my video? Sure, you hold chocolate for a minute. Life isn't always guaranteed, and that's nothing more evident than this story. That's why Fabric by Gerber Life was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kid's investment account from Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. There are so many tax advantages to doing it, and friends and families can help donate to it, like your birthday. When's your birthday?
On October 16th.
On October 16th, we're going to contribute to it. So it's really great. I strongly recommend it for you guys, and it makes me feel much better about my son's future. The funds can be used for anything. We can use it for tuition, for summer camps, for books, or when he's an adult, he can use it to buy his first home or start a business. What kind of business are you going to do?
Be a biologist like you.
I love
save animals.
Oh, heck yeah. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Start investing in your child today at meetfabric.com/forest. That's meetfabric.com/forest. meatfabric.com/Forrest. All right, buddy, thanks for visiting. I'll see you later, okay? Off you go. See you, bud. So as I was saying, and I'm glad my son isn't in the room for this part, I think at this point that I might have killed myself and I maybe have about 6 hours to live. Now, there's one person in the entire world that would know whether or not I was gonna make it. Somebody who he himself has survived a sea snake envenomation and had a hellish time getting over it. And maybe that's a story from another time where my good buddy, Dr. Brian Fry, took a bite from a sea snake, broke down all of his muscle fibers and his tissues. He was treated immediately, which is why he lived. And even, I think it was 6 months later, when he went for his first swim after being bitten to try and get some physio, he tore both his rotator cuffs completely because his fibers and tendons were so degraded from the sea snake venom that he couldn't even rotate his arms. I mean, it was bad. And Brian is such a wonderful man. So he was currently, this is what's crazy, he was currently on a plane to meet me to get him the sea snake venom for his testing. So he's in the air for, yep, you guessed it, about 5 hours and has left by the time we get back into cell phone service. So he's the only person that I thought I could confide in to call and say, hey Brian, am I gonna make it if I put sea snake venom in my eye and what'll happen? So the story's kind of crazy. We're boating back. It's like a 2-hour boat ride from where we caught the snake to the dock. We're boating back. We've been in the Western Australian sun all day for 12 hours. I've had this major adrenaline rush catching this snake that's been absolutely insane, that's required laser focus. And of course, I'm getting lethargic, right? The adrenaline is wearing off or the sea snake venom is kicking in. I don't know which one. So I'm trying not to get in my own head. Keep in mind, this whole time, my crew knows nothing. I haven't said anything. Mitch caught me slip and say, I think I just killed myself. And then he didn't really hear me because I mumbled it. And so the crew knows nothing. So they're like, they're all stoked and they're celebrating. And I'm like, geez, I'm feeling pretty exhausted. Well, guess what happens next? I start to get a headache. Yeah, it happens, right? You've been in the sun for 12 hours, the beating down Australian sun where the ozone's thinner than it used to be and all that. Or the sea snake venom's kicking in. I don't know. By the time we get back into cell phone service, 2 hours later, Brian's in the air. I can't reach him. I send him text messages. I'm like, hey buddy, please call me the second you get this. Please text me if you see this on the plane. Like, I'd just love to chat with you about something personal. And don't hear back from him. We get back to dock. It's like 8:30 p.m. Everybody's exhausted, right? There's one restaurant in town. We're all staying in a little rental house together. We take our time, we unload. It's now like 9:30. I'd say about 4 hours have passed by and I have a terrible headache. I'm lethargic. I'm gassed. And the crew's like, hey, Forrest, let's go. We're gonna go grab dinner at the one of 2 restaurants in Coral Bay. And I was like, hey, all good, man. Like, I'm gonna skip tonight. They're like, really? You haven't eaten like all day? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just kind of tired from the day, crash from that tough day. And they're like, yeah, we get it. We do that all the time. Guys go to dinner, one guy decides to sleep it off, whatever. So I just tell them like, nothing's wrong. You guys head out to dinner. So they head out to dinner and I'm sitting there in my room and I'm by myself. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, call my wife, tell her what happened, say goodbye. No, that's just gonna worry her. I could try to get to a hospital, but by the time I get there, I'll be dead anyway, so that's not worth it. And then that ruins, the whole crew is gonna be in panic mode. If I talk to the crew about this, everybody's gonna think it's terrible. And what do I do? There's nothing they can do anyway at this point. Like, the venom's fully in my system, I'm beyond treatment. If I call my wife and tell her like goodbye, it's like I'm gonna break her down, she's gonna be miserable. Like, what do I do? I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just call my wife and my son Rhodes and just tell them I love them so much and that they mean the world to me. It's like, well, they know something was up if I did that. Like, I don't do that. That's really suspicious. So I just thought about it, sat on my bed for a few minutes, grabbed a piece of paper, tore it out of my book, grabbed my pen, wrote a note. Dear Jess, love you so much. Dear Rhodes, you're the best. If you get this note ever, then things did not go well and it's nobody's fault and definitely not the animal's fault. And then signed it off, love you so much. And then at the bottom, I wrote, P.S. to the crew, I'm sorry you guys have to deal with this. I hope we still made a kick-ass show and made a big difference in the world of conservation. The end. Took that note, put it next to my nightstand, took a pen, put the pen on the nightstand, looked around at the room, thought, well, we'll see what happens. Turned the light off, and this is how dramatic I am. I crossed my arms like I was in a coffin and lay down. And the next thing I knew, I woke up, and it was morning, and the birds were chirping, and I was like, I'm good, baby. I took the note, crumpled up, threw it in the bin, walked outside, and I was like, let's go, boys. We're out on the shoot today. I was totally fine. I hadn't rubbed sea snake venom in my eye. I had a bunch of missed calls from Brian, but everything was good. Somehow, by some miracle, the stuff running down my fingers, I'd either washed it off or missed it or not got it in my eye ducts, and I was absolutely fine. But that was the time that I thought I had come the closest to killing myself on a wildlife adventure, and it was a hell of a mental game. Let me know if you guys like these stories. Happy to tell you more. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and until next time, be careful.